Hi and welcome to the Property Show. My name is Nancy. This is the show that is sure to give you an in-depth look into the property market, provide you with expert advice, trends, tips, and first-hand information on the hot properties available. There is something for everyone. Paul and Caroline are debating whether they need to contract an architect for the construction of their property. And our big question today is, what is the role of an architect?
Hey. How was your day?
Yeah, it was fine. You found anything you like?
There's a lot of great stuff. Now, there's this open plan kitchen where you can cook and you're chatting with your friends.
Okay.
Look at this bedroom.
Wow, that's nice. That's nice.
No, now, this will be perfect. This guest room will be perfect for my mother when she comes over.
Hey, let's not get carried away now, okay?
Okay. Now, I want this house that is envisioned in my head. You know, like the way Eva's house is gorgeous. I think we should call her architect to come. And then I've heard good things about him.
Like what?
He's a good designer. You've gone to Eva's place.
Yeah, I have been there. Seems like we'd have to empty our bank account.
No, he's not that expensive. I've heard he actually helped Eva to cut down some cost. It's affordable.
Are you sure about this? Affordable is relative, you know.
But why don't we call him over? Then he could help us cut some cost. You remember, Tony told us we need to evaluate the state of our land.
Yeah, I think he said we should evaluate the type of soil that we are building on.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think it would be wise for us to have more options on the architect side.
Okay, it's good to have a variety of architects. But the problem is, I don't know where to get them.
But you have Eva's architect's number. You can always call him.
No, I don't have. But I believe they have an association or something. An architectural association of Kenya, ama?
Missy G, but you can always check online.
Okay.
And we also need to have a look at some of their projects. Some of the projects they've been involved in.
Okay.
Just to get a feeling of their work. Yeah, and while you're at it, can you ask them about these greenhouses I keep hearing about?
Okay. Sawa.
What is the role of an architect? Most people don't see the need of hiring an architect for their projects. In studio with us is Mr. Mutahi Waridhi, who is a principal partner at U Design. Mutahi will help us understand the day-to-day activities of an architect. Welcome to the show, Mutahi.
Thank you.
Tell us about your profession.
By profession, I'm an architect, schooled and finished at the University of Nairobi. I must say the architectural field is quite wide, and I think it's not really accepted in the market in Kenya, the rules of architects, but I think it's a very fundamental and important rule of an architect because you're responsible for so many things, so many people, people's money, people's plots, people's dreams. As for my farm, farm is called U Design Architects. We are located in Lavington Shopping Center. I have two partners with me in the farm. The farm is more than 10 years old, and I must say we've been involved in quite a number of projects, from single houses to multiple dwelling houses to shopping malls, offices. And I must say that the industry has quite changed in the last 2-3 years, and we've been quite busy and blessed.
Why do I need an architect? Can't I design my own house?
I think the role of an architect is very important because architects are educated in a way that we are able to carry out your vision or your dream or what you want to do. Whereby an architect will see things that you cannot imagine. An architect will be able to bring your dream come true. An architect will give you designs that you've never have imagined according to what you want. The architect's role can also, I find that him as a guy who midwives the whole process of bringing your dream come true. In the event that once he designs whatever you want, the architect can also help you in cut costs. The architect can also help you maybe in use less energy in your building. An architect can also bring into you things like new technology that is happening in the world that maybe a layman is not aware of. The architect goes even further. Sometimes you're involved even in negotiating loans for people, negotiating the contracts with the contractor. And sometimes the architect deals with the other people and the client stays in the background. Whereby you have the architect dealing with the contractors, the QSs, mechanical engineers, and the contractor, so that they do not at every time keep calling the client. So sometimes the architect almost, let's say, shields the client from all these other people. But at least we make sure the project is delivered in time and most of the time in the budget.
Once I identify the land that I want to buy, at what point do I bring the architect on board?
That question is a bit about, let's say, the chicken and egg. But sometimes you'll choose some land, maybe even pay money. When the architect comes, he tells you the land has problems. So sometimes we usually tell our clients, it will cost you nothing, but before you buy the land, just consult an architect. Because there are some sites which are difficult. You might get some sites where maybe it's black cotton soil, and the guy, when he's building his house, you hear that maybe buried $1 million or $2 million in the foundations, because maybe you have to remove all the black cotton soil. It might be 2-3 meters deep. So sometimes we like advising our clients, just call the architect, even before you buy the land, consult him, then he might be able to give you some advice. Because there are also issues sometimes with the locality where you're buying the land, maybe there are some regulations that you don't know. And the architect, since that is day-to-day job, he'll be able to tell you what is allowed, what is not allowed.
Do you work independently, or who else is involved when I want to build a house?
In our profession, as I said, the architect usually midwives the process of one getting their dream come true. We work with other professions whereby we have people we call the quantity surveyors. These ones are the guys who will actually do the actual calculations of how much the project will cost. They'll also be involved in controlling of the funds. So as the contractor builds a project, we usually pay on what we call certificates. We pay on work done. So if it's paid every month, at the end of every month, the quantity surveyor comes and he values the work and the guy is paid. This most of the time is to help the client, because sometimes you might find you might overpay. You might overpay the contractor, but in certain circumstances whereby we have a proper QS and certificates issued every month, at least your funds are controlled. Then we have what you call the mechanical engineer. Mechanical engineer is a guy in charge of the plumbing works, the sewer lines, the piping, the whole building. We also have an electrical engineer who's in charge maybe of the lighting of the place. Then we have what you call the structural engineer. This is a guy who makes sure that the building is very solid, the way it's done, the foundation, the slabs. And then we also have a civil engineer. This is a guy who makes sure the work outside the building, that is the civil works, that is the roads, the drainage outside the house is well catered for. Sometimes you also go a step further whereby some clients will get a landscaper who will be able to do the landscaping work for the project. Other clients will even go further whereby they will be able to hire maybe what you call an interior designer who will be able to come in the beautification of the project. There are some projects which are very big, so there are some consultants that you are kind of encouraged to use, whereby we are doing like big shopping malls or big estates. Sometimes you bring in what they call a traffic consultant, so that he is able to guide you how the vehicles will be entering maybe a shopping mall or the estate coming out. These guys usually do some traffic count. Then they'll be able to guide you maybe on the access road or on the slip road into and outside the place.
Once I have identified an architect, what steps should I follow?
I always tell people maybe try and do some, I should not say due diligence, but also find out what he has done. Maybe he can take you to the sites that the guy has done. Maybe take him to the plot and then tell him what you want to do. Then you'll hear him off. And also, most of the time I tell people, make sure you have an agreement signed. Architects, we are governed whereby if I made a mistake, you can take me to court. Most of us we have insured ourselves. We have professional indemnity, but most clients don't know. Sometimes people contract architects, they do the wrong thing for them, then they have no recourse. But we have recourse. You can take someone to the board in case you're not happy with what they did. So it's always good to have a contract. There are standard contracts from the government and from the body, which can help you in case of any problems.
Mutahi, I know that sometimes you can build a house for me. As a layman, I do not know how to read your drawings. Then when you build the house, I realize the rooms are too small. How do you handle that?
That's why sometimes I think the pre-contract period, I think the client and the architect really need to be in sync. So sometimes we suggest to people, maybe we can visit a house, one of the houses we are doing. They have a look at some of the rooms that we are giving, and they can tell you whether that's what they have in mind. We also try and emphasize on people making what we call models. Small models, not the real thing, but they give you an idea of how the house will look like. These actually help people because not many people are able to read drawings. People look at drawings and they say the house looks okay, my friend say it's okay, let's go to site. But later on you have problems. But if you have a small mock model or something like that, you can walk through the model and see what is the layout of the house and maybe appreciate the changes at that scale. Instead of when the house is built, it's very hard to do the changes.
Thank you, Mutahi, for your valuable tips. We are taking a short break, and when we come back, Mutahi will take us through a more in-depth look into the role of an architect. Welcome back to the Property Show. Just before the break, Mutahi was telling us the role of an architect. Let's pick up from where we left off. Once I identify the plot that I'm interested, let's say hypothetically, in Kitengela, do you then help me how I'm going to locate the actual house?
There are many issues to do with the location of where you want the house to be. Okay, some people sometimes don't know. Sometimes the architect even needs to check at things like wind direction, sun direction. There are houses you may have gone to by the sitting room is always cold, but these are issues that people have to learn. Because like now, if however the house is, maybe you should make sure the sitting room or face the sunset, so that the afternoon sun comes into the house and the house becomes warmer. Maybe the way the wind flows, we have to be very careful. There are some places you find the house which is very cold because the way the wind blows into the house, maybe that's the side the architect did all the big windows.
What approvals will the architect get on behalf of me as the client?
Well, the approvals, we have what you call maybe the statutory approvals, which everyone knows. You have to get approval from the Nairobi City Council. If it's out of Nairobi, we have other municipal councils, Kajiado, Mombasa, and the like. Those ones you have to get. We also have the NEMA approvals, whereby it has also come into play that the NEMA approval sometimes involves the neighborhood. There are neighborhoods which have very strong organizations, maybe like Karen, maybe Gigiri, Runda, whereby you cannot just build whatever you want. So in such cases, there are even places where the NEMA organizes a forum, whereby you come and present your project. Like there's something once we are doing in Muthaiga, you present to the organization, then they can reject or agree on the project. But the other statutory approvals are just the normal city council. They'll do the architectural drawings. They'll also approve what you call the structural drawings. Then at the end of the project, they still come back to give you what you call the occupation certificate. But during the construction, they are meant to come on certain basis and see how the process of the construction is going and whether you are doing the work according to the drawings you did. This is usually very helpful, and that's why maybe when just for them to keep monitoring and maybe if they are maybe more effective or there was a way to make sure they really come to site, maybe you'd have less or maybe collapsing buildings or something like that.
Do they really come?
They come. But I think more so is the owner and the professionals on site have to make sure they come and sign. There are sheets they are meant to sign, which enable you to get the occupation certificate at the end of the project.